Sweet. Welcome back to the Wolf of Queen Street podcast. Thank you so much for joining on either on the YouTube series or on the audio podcast. But before we start this episode today, this episode is brought to you by the Dark Heart Grooming Company, skincare for men, only using organic New Zealand native ingredients. And you can find them on the Instagram on the Dark Heart Grooming Co. And the next time you place your order, just add in Wolf10 to get a 10% discount. Today, I'm joined by a gentleman called Eric Balance, man that is larger than life. He's making a move at the moment to find the right place to make sure he's showing his true self. This guy, if you see on social media, you think of a Viking mixed with a modern-day bodybuilder, larger than life. And last week, I got to meet him personally at UPW in Sydney. And one thing you realize is as you see him coming across the floor and as you see him coming towards you, you go, this man is amazing. You can feel the love. You can feel the respect. And when he gives you one of those bear hugs, all the worries in your world just totally disappear. And I'm so honored and privileged to have Eric on the show today. Welcome, mate.
Much love, bro. Much love. I'm really grateful to be here. I really appreciate you. And I'm so honored by the kind words, man.
No, it is true what I say. Like I said, I've been looking at your social media for months and months and following. And I reached out a couple of months ago and said, "Hey, I'd love to have you on the show." And it was so funny. I did not realize that you were actually going to be at the Tony Robbins event last week in Sydney at UPW. I was standing inside. I was part of the crew, and as I looked out on the side, I saw you walking through the crowd because you had just flown in from Bali. Was that not?
I did. I literally flew in. So I flew in that morning from Bali on day 3.
Yeah.
Literally was because I was at UPW Singapore prior to Bali. So that was about 9 days prior to UPW Sydney. Went to Bali for 9 days. And then because I couldn't make the first 2 days, I ended up coming for day 3 and 4 at UPW in Sydney. Literally 20 minutes prior to that, I ended up just flying in, getting to the front steps and, just making sure that I'm freaking all set, ready to go, registered up and at the front.
Yeah, at the front, that's right. So anyone that's ever seen anything with Eric, he doesn't do anything half. It's always full passion, full love, and full respect. So especially in the Tony Robbins family, most photos of any UPW where Eric's there, he's on the front, he's giving all out, he's playing full out. But a lot of thing is that, people don't realize and they look into, they go, everyone I talk to, they said, "Lawrence, you interview all these people, you get someone on the show and he's successful and he's got a business." And I say to him, yes, they do. Eric's grinding. He's got a successful business. He's coaching. He's motivating. He's inspiring people. But that doesn't just come from a flick of a switch or just one day at that path. I know, Eric, I know your history in the sense of you've gone through drug rehab. You're addicted to drugs. You ended up in jail at a certain stint back in Edmonton, Canada. You were struggling to find yourself in life. There were some of the jobs I know you went through. You were working in the oil field, you were in the sales, you were in retail, food prepping business. I don't even know why you would be in the food prepping business or whatever. You did a 5-year degree in accounting and finance. Dude, yeah. I don't believe you could fit into a suit, let alone have an accounting and finance, right? Yes.
Yeah, dude, man, it's been quite the journey. It's been an extensive journey and one that has really allowed me to grow in every sense of the word.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it's funny because I look back at some of those struggles, those trials, the tribulations, and I realize every day that those are so many. Like I used to think, oh my goodness, those are such challenges in my life. And now I focus back and I understand that, no, these are such massive fucking gifts that I get to show up and provide elements of understandings through experience that, people can relate to in different ways, in different capacities, because, I've done the corporate thing. I've done the business thing. I've done the oil field and tradesman thing. I've done the, drug dealing and drug doing. And I've been that black-hearted piece of shit that really doesn't, think that masculinity is all focused on aggression and violence, where, you have this component of just wrong role models, right? Mm-hmm. And now, understanding that the true masculine is love, is compassion, is sensibility to focusing on what others needs, is how you can stand up for the people that need it most, not being somebody that holds people back.
Yep. I totally agree with that, brother. And like I said, I'll look through your story, look through your past, and you would agree with me in the sense of saying, as you said, a lot of this stuff is stumble blocks what people perceive. I'm failing in life. It's a stumble block. It's a hurdle. Why don't I get anything right? But the expectation, and if you've got the right mindset, it's not that it's a stumble block. It's a learning block. It's something to trigger you to say that might not be the right path down that area. That might not be the right passion for me there. Let me take the learnings from that to make myself a better person, and let me go on that door. Is that the passion for me? Let me take it back and let me go back on that door. And finally, until you get a door where you're knocking and you're going, fuck you, I'm going to open this door, and everything behind that I'm going to conquer. And it's going to be my passion, and I'm going to take it over. And your path has been in that, because everything you went in, as I said in the beginning, you went full out, but you always struggling to find that light bulb passion piece. And I think that's where you find yourself now, of inspiring other people.
And that's the thing I always talk to people is like, I actually just got off a call with some of my abundance circle clients, and our abundance circle is like our high impact clients. And I talk to them and I tell them, listen, what are you guys doing that's 100%? Are you doing everything in your life at 100%, 110%, 120%? Because if you're not, why? And the focus is every element in my life, I've really focused at, whether it was even the dumb shit, whether it was getting into a fight, whether it was, it was all at 100. Like, I was not going to lose. I was going to do whatever fucking took to win. Like, everything that I did, even the dumb shit was at 110%. So now focusing on every step in my life, whether it was, going back to university, whether it was, going into the oil field, whether it was getting into sales, whether it was building a business, I implemented all of these things at 150%, at 100%, playing all out.
Yep.
Focusing, knowing, and feeling, and envisioning, and seeing the result.
Mm-hmm. And I'm guessing, like you said, you're asking all your clients, and you're asking your exclusive group, why aren't you doing that if you're not, right? And the expectation is that if I'm doing it, or if you're doing 100 or 120 or 130%, and I'm pushing the 2 millimeter change, as you'll be well aware of, you would expect the same from them, So you are showing the path and the learnings and the way to do it. You expect your clients to follow the same way, So when the people come towards you, what is the sort of main focus you would get from a lot of the clients that come into your space, Eric? Is in the sense of just generalistic, I need motivation or direction, or what is the sort of niche? Is in the sense that you have a niche of what you're trying to achieve?
Yeah, so like, motivation is good. I like motivation, but I don't consider it motivation unless, and I like making it a focus of a directed energy with strategy. Okay.
Yep.
So this is what's really important, where motivation to me, is beautiful. But it's not, it just exists and then it disappears. It dissipates. What's important is to have precise, calculated, precision energy with directed strategy to get to the next level. And this is how I help my clients. Francesca and I, which is my, my business partner, as well as my beloved, she and I, we help people build their online and offline presence.
Yep.
To really grow and monetize their following,
Mm-hmm.
become experts in their niche, and fill their programs online or offline, whether they're events offline or online programs. And we give them the tools and the strategies, directed energy, to fulfill and be extremely successful. We have over 285 entrepreneurs that are our clients all over the world.
Yep. No, that's awesome. It's amazing to see, like you're saying, I been around it, been at Sydney last week, having a podcast series. You always hear the people that are what I call cookie cutter. I'm going to come and stand here and I'm going to talk to you and I'm going to drive you and say, this is what you got to do. This is what you got to be motivated at. You got to follow these steps and stuff. And cookie cutter, coach, motivator, and so forth. And unfortunately, I fucking despise it, because no one is ever going to come out of it in the sense of, if you're following a tick box, you're never going to get someone to go outside that box, because it's right there, and that is what they are following. But if you, like you said, is you're doing it in the right manage of the energy in the right direction with the right focus, is they'll take it to that edge. And when they do what they truly believe, they'll step over that edge. And they'll go out into a zone that they didn't believe they had or known they had, and achieve things further than they can believe. And I can see it from a lot of the clients, and I can see it from your social media, from people that are around you, that is definitely happening to the way you're taking the clients and the people around within your group. So I commend you on ensuring that you're being true and honest about it.
And it's so important. And let me be real with you. Like, the journey is not always easy. The journey, comes with a bunch of fucking bullshit and, uncertainty and fear. But the truth is that every step of the way has been such beauty, because, I used to blame it. Like, I'm too old. I can't make it to the next stage. I can't grow. I'm not capable. I used to tell myself this bullshit, and it's because of past bullshit belief systems, that I used to actually truly believe in. Like, I used to have this sense of audacity to that I thought, that people need to respect me based off of fear. Where does that come from? Where did that, was created in my life, to people respect you based off of fear? That doesn't exist. That doesn't happen. That's bullshit, right?
Yep.
And every time as I tell my stories, as I share my stories, or I, talk about it on social media or in person, I genuinely, everything that I talk about, I've gone through, so everything is a way for me to associate, based off of my experiences, and how, perhaps whether they're gold nuggets or freaking, gold freaking boulders, whatever people want to take away from it is entirely up to them. But for me, it was really, really important. And every time is being authentic, is being absolutely vulnerable, sharing my struggles, sharing my wins. And, I don't have anything to hide, and, people always laugh at me. They're like, Eric, you have some colorful language. And the truth is that sometimes I use colorful language because that's just how I can maybe get a little bit more down to the point. And there's no, rude or I was sharing a live today, and I was talking about, and a gentleman shared with me, profanity is a symbol of a weak mind. And I said, you know what, dude, like, that's me being authentic. And if that's the way that you want to explain yourself, that I'm using profanity, and you think, then clearly you don't know anything about me, and you're very welcome to, click the unfollow button, not listen to me. And then he tells me later that he loves listening to me. So it's funny because, it's like, it makes me laugh. It's a contradiction, because at the end of the day, I'm just being me, right? And not everybody's going to like me. Not everybody's going to appreciate what I have to offer. But at the end of the day, I owe it to myself and to the people that can relate to me wholeheartedly to be who I am every time.
Yeah. I say it on every podcast that comes up all the time on anyone I interview. There's only one you and there's only one me, right? There's your style and there's my style. And I'm similar sort of style. I unfortunately have to watch my P and Qs depending on which situation I'm in as well. On the podcast where I've got this freedom, I can talk any fucking way I like. And I come out of the front going, not everyone's going to like me, not everyone's going to support me, but I'm going to be here and do what I want to do. Same as what you got to do, right? You can pick and choose to come and see me, or listen to me, or listen to any of the podcasts, the same as anyone can come and pick and choose to listen and see what your insight is. But once they get over that hurdle of, hey, he's a little bit different and he's saying it a bit differently, the content and the quality is always there. People have just got to take away some of those shells and those layers of the onions and going, we're not all the same, so don't expect us to be. But we will help you, we will guide you, we will love you, and we'll respect you, even though we're different. And that's when sort of really cool things happen as well.
Amen to that, brother.
One thing I saw doing further research, in the background, I try to make sure I get as much research about the people that come on the show and to find some intriguing points from my opinion across from your side is you do a lot of face-to-face events. So anyone that follows your brand, you guys do normally when you're Australian based, you'll be having an event, if not every week, every couple of weeks, but there'll be 10 or 20 small from 20 people to a couple of hundred people to even larger events. And you're very focused on making sure it's face-to-face, not focused more on digital events, let's say that. And I know you spoke recently.
So
Continue.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, sorry. I was just going to say, I know you spoke recently about it, of how you feel that has got an importance playing at the moment when everything is going so digital.
Yeah. So we're very, very focused on, helping people not only, in locally, but around the world and making our impact around the world. So it is important for us we create both online and offline. So we help people, in the US and Canada. We have clients all over because we do provide a value of online build massive impact, like our Build Massive Impact program. What is capable to do in person over a 3-day intensive at some of our events, you can still do if you're from the other side of the world. Based, or it still do. It would be a longer period of time, so it would be an 8-week program, right? So because we want we want still to get the tools to be available to every person, so people get the energy that's focused, so they can still see results, right? So for us, the biggest thing is results. To us, in person is totally. We have events all over Australia. We're actually on tour. We leave to Perth tomorrow, and we're on tour right now all around Australia. But we've done events in Italy. We've done events in Canada, in Singapore, and we have scheduled for next year another couple of retreats in Bali, in Italy. We're doing some events in Amsterdam, in Birmingham, in London, Portugal. So we're going all over the world, and we're doing events in person, yes. And we also provide value for people to be able that can't come to us in person, but still provide massive impact by helping them, in a structure like this, where we do Zoom calls. We have a support team supporting them online, and we really want to help because we want to magnify our influence, right? We want to magnify our impact in the world. And, we can't go to every city in the world, and we still want to be able to serve people in every city in the world if necessary, right? So the human touch is what is important to us, right? So whether you're in New Zealand, or I'm in Canada, or there's someone in Texas, or, and I'm in London, we can still all support them, right? Because not only do we have the team available to help them build but we create the ability to help them build their content, build their programs, get really comfortable, understand what the next strategy is. So it's very important for us to have that massive influence so that we can really share all of our strategies with, as many people that want to listen.
I totally agree with that, and it's great. One thing I just had to go back on that. You're traveling the whole world. You're seeing the whole world. The only thing I missed in that was you saying you're coming to New Zealand. I did not hear New Zealand in that lineup, right? So
we're going to do Auckland and Wellington.
Sounds good. I'll be there front row, 100% full out. So
we just did our schedule today, and we're doing Auckland and Wellington. It'll be a little bit later on in the year of next year. So awesome. This time next year, it'll be after UPW Sydney.
Oh, great. That'll be awesome. I can't wait. I'll make sure that I'm there, and I'll make sure I bring as many people as you need in the seats. They'll be there. So as you said, you're being digital. You're also being face-to-face at the moment. I thought
Hold on, I got the dates for Auckland.
Oh, you
did? October 27th.
Yep.
And in Wellington, October 29th.
Great. I'll make sure I've got that in my calendar already now. With the wife, if I don't put in the calendar, it doesn't exist. Even if it's a year out, I'll put it up there to make sure it's in there as well, and let a few people that's close to me with supporting my brand and would love to see you. I'll make sure I'll bring those guys with. One thing I was thinking about at the moment when you're explaining about your program and how you you interact with people. I thought something differently, which I have not done in a podcast before. If you're willing, I wanted to give two sort of examples what I see currently are challenges in the world, and see if you would like to work through it as a generic example, and you can show people that are listening or watching sort of how to break through. So a simplistic one at the moment is, let's go digital, let's go Instagram. It's the platform to be, it's the platform to be seen. Everyone comes up at the moment and goes, I've got an X brand or Y brand. Why? I think I'm good. Why doesn't my platform naturally build? Why am I not getting my first 300 followers? Why am I not getting 1,000 followers? Why am I not getting 10,000 followers? I can imagine you get this question 50 times a day, right? What is, in that example, what is something you would say to that person that comes to you in that mindset?
Consistency.
Consistency.
So why are you being consistent? Every day, are you adding value to somebody that may or may not be looking at your page? And are you focused so much on the vanity of the following that's what's driving you?
Yeah.
So instead of focusing on, the value that you're bringing to the people that may or may not be listening, are you focused on the creativity that you have based off of your experience, based off of the journey that you've been in, based off your expertise, based off of your knowledge, based off of how you can provide value to the person that's understanding and wanting to listen to you? So are you creating enough? At the end of the day, is this question, this is what the answer is. Are you creating enough polarizing content to bring people into your world in such an authentic and real and vulnerable way without worrying about the vanity, so that you are giving more than you are receiving?
Yeah, that's a great answer. And, I totally agree with that answer. It's caring about what you're doing, not about what you're getting back from what you're doing, right? That means you're in there for the right reason. You're in there for something that you wanted to do, not for tick, 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 comment. I've seen that vanity success. I'm chasing that. And it's a great way to explain to it. The second question, which I want to ask you, away from the social media platform, people coming to you going, hey, Eric, I want to change my life. I want to try to find my refocus, but I'm married, 2 or 3 kids, working 50, 60 hours a week. How do I find the time to actually consider what I want to do in my life, to find the focus to be able to change it?
I love this question because it's so powerful.
Yeah.
And especially for people that always blame, and I like to sell it blame because I believe it's blame.
Mm-hmm.
They blame their children, or they blame their marriage on their circumstances, which I think is completely unfair.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's completely unfair, and it's complete bullshit, because not only should that drive you to make an impact and create the time that you believe that you can get to put yourself into the next area of your life, into the stage where you should be implementing massive freaking action to evolve your life so that you can help your family and your kids.
Yeah.
And what you should be doing is you should be taking an inner look, an opportunity to see what is truly your passion, what is truly your next possibility, because there's infinite.
Yeah.
And when you do that, you build faith, because you have to have massive faith. You start to believe in yourself because you start taking massive action, and you start recognizing that you're doing something for your future self. Yeah. Which is what's really most profound, because the only way you can move forward is if you change something right now.
Correct. That first step is just as important as the last one, right? Fundamentally, it always moves us forward. It's not about the last step to finish.
Absolutely. That's right. And it's not about even the destination ever. Yeah. It's all about just the next step. It's all about the journey. It's all about the process. Because guess what? Whatever you're thinking that's difficult, there's somebody out there that wishes had your problem.
Yeah. There's people all the time.
You know what I mean? That's hoping and praying and wishing that they could they could really, you know, have that problem, that they could have a family, that they could have 60-hour-a-week job.
Yeah.
So how about you step up and you recognize that what you have is currently a fucking blessing, and what you want, you need to get out of your comfort zone. You need to step into the fear. You need to step into the unknown, and you need to step the fuck up, because at the end of the day, if you don't put yourself out there, if you don't give yourself the capacity to win, you will never fucking win. So you owe it to yourself, and especially to your children or your family, to do whatever the fuck it takes. Because if you don't, how would you feel if your children look back at you in 20 years and said, "Oh, you didn't do this, Dad, because of me"? Well, what about when they look at you in 20 years and say, "Did this, Dad, because of me"? Do you know what I mean?
Totally. 100%.
How much more empowering is that later for the kids?
Yeah. I mean, people forget, and I totally agree with that, in the sense of inspiring and driving and pushing you to go further. And it's a challenge we see today in people's mental state of, am I this way, negativity, or am I this way, positivity about the situation I'm in? Like you said, I'm in a 6-hour week, a work week. The negative person goes, I'm in a 6-hour work week. I can't get free. I don't get time. Where the other person goes, I've got a fucking job. I'm not unemployed. I'm earning an income. I'm surviving. I can provide. And it's, you know, working with people and challenging and saying, understand that. Change that process straight away, simplistically, of the mindset. And all of a sudden you'll see those gaps opening, going, there's a couple of hours there, or there's something more I can focus on, because my energy, and as you said, the energy, right, that you're focusing on is not on that shit or that bullshit or that crap. But now I can keep it to myself and go, it's on me, it's on my health, my mental state, or what I'm trying to achieve, or I can see there's an opening, so I'm going to push my energy there and see what comes back towards me.
Amen. And the thing is, it's so important, right? Like, people will focus on the little things that don't matter, right? And all of a sudden, they will start to build and magnify themselves because they don't matter. So, but because they're focusing on them, so the problems start becoming bigger and bigger and bigger until they're too big, and then, you know, either they get depressed, or it affects their relationship, their business, their careers, whatever the case may be, because they're focusing on the dumb shit. Whereas they could have let it pass by. They could have focused on something that is a lot more empowering, and giving them the opportunity to, you know, people so oftentimes they presuppose themselves into the negative connotation. So they always say, you know, why don't I have this? Well, how about, oh my goodness, I'm so grateful that I have this.
Yep. And I mean, I totally agree with that. And it's funny, I've seen it that, I mean, I've gone through that process myself. I've been that stage of being negative, and why the people, we all judge, right? And judge and say we want more. Why is that person successful? Why does that person have that and I don't have that? But it's funny you're saying about the people sometimes focus more on the small things. I see it more that sometimes those small things make the biggest change when you leave it alone, as much as it's a small thing, because as you said, you build up such a big picture of it, and you put so much in that basket, into that energy basket, that you just take that small thing out, all of a sudden there's a massive opening for you to go and achieve something.
Amen. I like it, and I agree with it 100%. The 2 millimeter shift.
2 millimeter shift, brother. That's all you need. To most people that don't understand it, to the Robbins family members and the people that support the man, like Eric, that goes bouncing back on back. I mean, Eric's been on stage with Tony. Tony's pulled him up. You've had time with Tony and Sage. And not because he was making breakthroughs, not because he was successful, he is now, but because Eric was brave enough to reach out randomly, and Tony came out and picked him out of pretty much on a post on social media, right? It was the first time he acknowledged you.
So I reached out to Tony basically when I was in Costa Rica at one point, and Tony, it was a total, like, I thought it was a fluke. I thought it was his team. I thought it was, I didn't think it was him. And he said something, it was a profound day, because I was in Costa Rica, and this was the beginning of my self-development journey. And Tony mentioned he writes this beautiful post, about, you know, how life is full of ebbs and flows, you know, how it's like river flowing, you know, waterfalls and streams. And I'm literally in the jungle in Costa Rica, and where there's streams, waterfalls, and I literally, you know what I mean? And he has a picture of the sunset. And the sunset is the picture of his post, and I'm literally looking at the sunset. My mind just exploded, the synchronicity that happened.
Yeah.
And I told, and in that moment, I just commented, like, Tony, I'm going to one of your events. I feel that I'm going to meet you. I feel that it's going to be massive. And I just have this massive, respect and like this, I feel like this connection with you. Tony Robbins contacted me on Instagram and said, Eric, I want you to come up and shake my hand. And, at first the focus was like, this is bullshit. This is not Tony.
Yeah.
Like, why would he even write to me? He doesn't have this time. And then that was my ego. And then my heart was saying, you know what? This is a man of absolute integrity.
Yeah.
No, none of his team is going to get some random stranger to walk up to him and say, listen, like, hello, welcome, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
Where
No chance.
no chance, right?
Yeah.
And plus he's got his security team, right? So that's just not safe.
Yeah.
Not same. So, I asked him, like, fine, I played with it. I said, Tony, how do you expect me to walk up to you and shake your hand? I know you got a team of 4 security guards, basically attached to your hip. And he's like, just come up on one of the breaks, the stretch breaks. And so I tried. Of course I tried, right? And his security guard told me to go sit down, and I felt like a complete moron. And I was like, why did I even try that? And a few minutes later, he walks up to me. He says, "Come here," and he picks me up off my seat and gives me a massive hug.
Yeah.
And in that moment, I felt not only this element of connection with him and like just massive love and respect for the man. There was a transfer of some sort of energy that had, like, I swear to God, like I know that I'm a spiritual guy, and there was a element of transfer there. Like, there was a massive transfer. There was an energy shift, and in that moment, I recognized that if you go out and do what's absolutely necessary, even if it's outside of your comfort zone, if people are going to tell you no, 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 you might have the biggest fucking shifts that happen in your life. And my life from that moment on had exploded in every way. In every way.
Yep. It's amazing. And I mean, the follow on like that, you said there was a further moments where you got up and got talk in the next events, but it was taking that risk to see if there was something further than not knowing if it ever would be there, right? And then all of a sudden, you're finding yourself outside that square box that most people find themselves in and going, oh, fuck, I'm here now. Am I ready? Yes, I'm ready. But now everything's opened. Now I can take it on. I can challenge and I can push the limit. And it's a great to have seen that. And it's so simple in the sense we spoke about something before the beginning of the podcast. And I actually didn't even mention it in the podcast, talking about being able to reach out to people anywhere in the world they are, right? We're doing a podcast right now, Auckland, New Zealand. Yourself, you're based in Brisbane at the moment. You're traveling. Most of my other guests having the show throughout the world. And people keep saying, but how do you get hold of someone? How do you speak to someone? How do you talk to someone? How do you get a hold of this influence or that influence or the person that inspires me or motivates me in certain areas? It's simple. Doesn't necessarily mean that 100 they're going to respond to you. But you just need one of them, right? You just need one of them to respond to you to get it. But the only way that person's going to respond to you is if you ask him the question. So if I'm not asking the question to someone, and if I'm not reaching out to someone, no one's going to get back to me, mate. They don't know who the fuck I am. So if I go out to 100 people and reach out and say love, respect, and everything else, and send them the message I want to send them, if one of them come back, it'll change your life.
Absolutely, right? And people oftentimes they don't value, they don't own it enough themselves, right? And myself included, right? I was like, holy cow, Tony Robbins, are you kidding me? Like, this is freaking incredible. Like, who the fuck am I? And why would Tony want to talk to me? Why would he even want me to introduce himself to me?
Yeah.
Or want me to introduce myself to him? And it really, really, it's funny because so often people, where else does that show up in all of our lives where they don't even try?
Mm-hmm.
They don't even implement that next element. Like I didn't have to leave a note on his thing saying, oh, I really want to meet you. I could have thought of like, what are people going to think? I could have, oh, this guy's not going to talk. Like it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you don't do it, then obviously nothing's going to come of it. If I didn't step up and, go up to him that day, who knows what would have happened, right? Who knows if I would have even, got into the world? Who knows if I would have connected with, so many different souls in Australia? Who knows if I would have met Francesca? Who knows if I would have been on stage multiple different times on Tony Robbins' stage? But because I'd been, I decided to walk up to the man and give him my hand, right? And of course it didn't happen. But as a result, he came up to me and, he remembered and he gave me a hug and like massive love for the man, right? Like I always laugh and I always say, I feel like Tony and I were brothers in a different lifetime.
He's just a little bit. Like, he's just a little bit taller than you, right? So as much I was able to, and lucky enough at UPW as part of the crew to have Tony close enough to my vicinity. And I'm just over 6 foot, not by much, and I felt small. And he's a big boy, and but definitely, man, your energy, what you represent, and what you're saying, you thought he was, a brother in a different life. I definitely can see that in the sense of like I spoke about the honesty, the vulnerability, but the love that you're carrying, so that anyone that ever sees you, like I said, the way I saw you, of this large, as I say, large mammal walking across, and you're going, what the fuck is this, right? But as soon as there's that closeness, there's all of a sudden that attraction, that magneticness that pulls you in and says, I want to be in your space. And I did that post, I did that post today on Instagram to anyone that went and saw the post about the podcast today, saying, are you putting the right people around you as well, right? Are you putting the right people, the right energy around you? Because you are most likely going to get influence from the people that you're closest to than the people you're not. So if you're not putting the right people around you, you're not going to get the right influence. And that's a big game changer I find in my life in the last 6 months, and starting that, and to a lot of people that I've said to as well, is get away, and your life experience would have had it as well. Get yourself out of the shit situation and put yourself in front of 1, 2, 5 or 10, the correct peers and the correct people that motivate you, because they've got more than you, but you're not judging them, but also they inspire you by giving you the respect back.
Amen, man. Proximity is power, brother.
Proximity is power. Awesome. Love that. Anyway, brother, I know you've had a really busy day today. You usually fold out every half an hour for the whole day. It's 10 p.m. back in New Zealand. I know you had your big event you just said before. Before we end it off today, you've had some great points. What do you want to leave the listeners with today? What is one sort of golden nugget for today that you would love to leave them with?
My biggest thing is this: turn your fears into faith. Every moment of your life, you have an opportunity to fight for what you believe in, fight for yourself. Mm-hmm. So oftentimes, make your pain of regret a lot more powerful than your pain of discipline. So making sure that you discipline yourself in such a way to implement the next stage of your life, the next capacity of your life. Because if you focus on your pain of regret, on how painful your life will be when you end up in that deathbed, wasting away, and recognizing that you didn't give it your all, you'll understand that if you utilize that pain of discipline into your everyday, that you would have magnified your influence, your impact, and at the end of the day, what your life's meaning, your life's purpose.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love that, brother. That's a beautiful piece to leave it with at the moment. And I know my listeners will absolutely love that piece. And I'm sure that'll be cut out from the audio and used by other people for a few times to say a good saying. Just before we shut it down, as always you would have done in any speeches do, please give us your social handles, where we can reach you, the best way to reach you.
Yes, for sure. So on Instagram at Eric Balance, so ERIC Balance, BALANCE. Same thing on Facebook and same thing on LinkedIn. And of course, you can reach me at ericbalance.com /Australian tour. So I'm doing a tour right now through Australia, and through there you can find all my dates that we're currently on, and we're excited, to as we continue, those dates will change throughout the world. So right now we're on tour and excited to serve at the highest levels.
Oh, thank you so much, Eric. Again, humbled and amazed that firstly you said yes to come on my show, and an amazing experience to have you on the show and hear your story and everything else. And so much love and respect to you for today. And to everyone else that's listening at the moment, if you're watching or listening, thank you again for joining in on the Wolf of Queen Street. You know where to find me: Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Come have a listen, come have a like, a comment, and subscribe. And make sure at the end of the day, you do what you're passionate about, you do what you love, and everyone else, if they don't like it, they can fuck off. But have a great day, have a powerful day, and see you till next time.